yesterday, which is so obvious, there are things that any one of you can do. There are things Andy can do that I could never ever do. And there are things I could do that perhaps he couldn't do. And there are things that every single one of you can do that none of us could do. Which is why it's so precious that you're here and you're willing to kind of shine your light, because there will be folks out there who will hear your message but never hear my message. They won't resonate with Mike. They won't resonate with Andy. They'll resonate with you. You're part of their family, their soul tree. And this is why life in its magical ways kind of finds the audience for the speaker or finds the counterpart for whatever it is you need, as if you were pre-qualified, as if it was built into the system, as if it was meant to be, that you'd be a trailblazer, speaking, teaching, and healing countless people. So we're going to hear now, and this is a much anticipated part of the program, from those as they've shared their experiences and gone through the trenches for the very first times, having become a trailblazer just in the immediate past. And we're going to have a panel of them up here. If you could please come up here when I call your name, panel. Johnny Waite, Barbara Cole, Tracy Kakurma, Andrea Powers, and Dana Mitchell. Come on now! I'll give a brief introduction. I'll give the microphone to them for approximately 10 minutes. And then, time permitting, we will do a question and answer session, because they know better than I know, because of their immediate recency in the trenches, what you're going to be going through in perhaps the immediate future. So let's see here. I'll just follow this list as I have it. Johnny, you're on the top of the list. Trailblazer and life adventure coach, trained individuals and students. Would you take 10 minutes and kind of perhaps share with us what you haven't quite yet shared with us yesterday? It's all yours. And actually, would you like to come up here?
Sure.
Would that be more comfortable?
Absolutely, that's great. So the two things that I think I can contribute that may be unique. I know that a lot of people worry about going out and charging for their services. We talk a lot about contribution, and there are opportunities to go and make a difference for people in settings where it's volunteer, and that's fantastic. There's also people who are out there who aren't going to have access to it through those sorts of channels. And so sometimes we feel guilty about charging for this, right? It's like, no, I should only be helping those people in prisons and in halfway houses and whatnot. And yet there are people who really can use this and make a difference in other people's lives who aren't going to be able to access it through any of those channels. So it's just a shift in your mindset that it's not like you're only doing it to enrich yourself. It's that you're actually creating an opportunity for these people. And for those people, they're also going to get a lot more out of it if they have something invested in it. If you throw up a sign that says free seminar, which there's nothing wrong with that, a lot of those people aren't going to attend because they're not going to see value in it. Whereas if you say $300 seminar, they're going to say, wow, for $300 I'll bet I'm getting a lot of that. Right? It sounds funny, but it's true. If this was a free seminar, a lot of you people wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have flown across the country to attend a free seminar. So it's the fact that there's value attached to it that caused you to be here. That said, I still had this funny, weird thing about it. Like, I didn't want to look like I was just trying to enrich myself. So I came up with a formula to charge that I think may be useful for people to adopt. If you have no problem with it, close your ears. I don't want to put any thoughts in your head that it's hard to charge. It's really easy to charge. But I'm just going to give you an idea that you might want to take on, and that's this. Whatever the dollar figure is, I'm going to use $300 just because it's very easy to break down. I would say to people, my program is $300, and it's an 8-week program. So I think it's great value at $300 for an 8-week program. What I'm going to ask you to do is pay me $100 at the first session. Come to the first 4 sessions, and if you're getting value of it, you're seeing a difference in your life and it's something you're excited about, give me another $100. And then come for the other 4 sessions. And at the end of those 4 sessions, I'd like you to give $100 to the charity of your choice and feel good about it. And you see where they're getting huge value? There's no risk for them up front. It's not a $300 risk, it's a $100 risk. And you know that you're going to give a great program. So there's not a big fear that after 4 weeks they're not going to keep coming, and if they aren't going to keep coming, they were probably somebody who wasn't generating the energy they needed to contribute to the program anyway. So if you start with 12 and end with 10, you're probably doing a whole lot better job anyway for those 10. And then at the end of it, it's an opportunity to create a change in the world instantly, where they can immediately go and impact. Because a lot of people feel powerless, like they feel that they can't make a difference. And because they're operating from a position of lack, they may not be likely to go and give $100 to charity, because they don't feel that they have it. But here's an opportunity where it's already built into the program. And I just found that there's no resistance. Like, people are totally down with that. Again, I don't want to put that in your head if you say, no, I'd rather have the $300, charge $300 straight up, that's terrific. But it really, from my standpoint, I know a lot of people are probably coming from where I was coming from, which is I want to make a difference with this, I want to do good. And the minute I start charging for it, it feels like maybe, I have suspect motives, and it really takes that out of it. The other thing I wanted to share, and this is from the other side of the spectrum. So the other work that I've done has been with kids at a youth center. And I live in a small city where I grew up, and I thought everyone was blessed. I thought everyone lived on the lake, and I thought everyone went to sailing camp in the summer, and I thought everyone played tennis and golf. And I just couldn't figure out why everyone didn't have this fantastic life. So I moved away for a long time, and I'm back to my hometown. And I'm looking around and saying, wow, I had no idea that all these people didn't grow up with that. I mean, obviously, I figured out a little before now. So now I have an opportunity to make a contribution there. And so by working at the youth center, I'm providing to kids who would not have any other access to it whatsoever. It's not their curriculum at school. A lot of them are out of school. They're 18 years old and they haven't been in school for 3 years, and the world's a terrible place to them. So it's somebody who's coming and actually sharing with them that it isn't such a terrible place. So, that really works for me. It makes me know that I'm making a difference. And it's an interesting dynamic with those kids, because you can't go and put on 3 straight hours. You can't go put 1 straight hour on for the most part. Because when I'm not there, they're playing video games. Like, that's their attention span, it's like this, right? So I found that with kids, there are 2 things I really had to focus on, especially in that kind of setting. One, really short, impactful lessons that included them and involved them, because if they're just listening, they're tuning out. So it had to be interactive, and it had to be half an hour, 45 minutes break for half an hour. Half an hour, 45 minutes break for half an hour. They'd go play video games, they'd go play pool, they'd go do whatever, they'd text their friends. Because that's the way their world works. If you try and force them into your world of 3-hour blocks or whatever else, it's just not going to work. And then the other thing that I discovered when I did the youth center, and this is very specific, but some of you may be in this kind of situation. If you're doing it somewhere that has any drop-in component at all, it's not going to work. So we were doing it at the youth center. We sort of had this little space over in the corner where there were 8 kids there, and it was awesome. And then another kid came and go, I'm going to go check that out. You come and sit down in the middle of the thing, and well, this is stupid. You start talking to the kid beside him, and he's not engaged. And so it was constantly starting over. And what I realized was that it was better to take them out of that environment. And so, you may go to a business as a boardroom and say, would you donate your boardroom for this afternoon? And I did find, though, with these kids, I didn't do it over 8 weeks like I would do for adults. I did it over 2 days. So I did it on a Saturday and a Sunday, because they were there anyway. And you might not get them back the next weekend, they just might not have access to get down there and things like that. But by doing it over those 2 days and breaking into little micro sessions throughout the day, it was great for me too, because I'm a relatively busy person. I've got things I have to handle and whatnot. So in those half hours, I just jump on my laptop and get some work done. Some of the time. The other time, the best part was when a kid would come over and engage me and say, I want your half hour. And I say, I'm glad to give it to you. That's fantastic, because you're getting this. And you can't be attached that every one of these kids is going to go out and, be valedictorian the next year. It's just not realistic. There's a great scene in Parenthood where Steve Martin pictures his kids, the valedictorian, and he pictures his kid in the water tower shooting at him, and he can't figure out which way it's going to go. You're not responsible for those kids, and you need to get that you're responsible for them, and that they're part of the world that you're trying to create. But you can't take it personally if at the end of it one of them goes, that was stupid. That's where they're coming from. And you may have made a difference that germinates and manifests somewhere down the road. But that's what I want to share with you, is if you're working with kids, it's best to actually take them out of that environment into a setting that you can actually create the environment that you want, rather than constantly being interrupted. But the charging, I found that was really, really useful to break into those 3 payments, the last of which went to charity, and then people people don't question motives. Thanks.
Awesome. Wow, all the points I forgot to make. Would you agree? Johnny's got that it quality. Wow, we're glad you're on the team. I'm now thrilled to introduce to you Barbara Cole, one of our first trailblazers who co-taught IP as a private workshop. Barbara is a meditation mentor, Gong master, Reiki master teacher. Having lived in several countries, she's had the opportunity to study many different forms of spirituality and meditation. Barbara's real-world teaching style and down-to-earth way of relating helps people to feel safe and comfortable learning new things. She's found teaching others how to meditate and heal themselves to be her greatest passion and life's purpose. Barbara especially enjoys teaching and mentoring within the recovery community. More information on her work can be found at projectinnerpeace.org. Projectinnerpeace.org. Wow. Barbara, come on down.
Good morning, I'm Barbara Cole, and I'm so blessed to be here with you guys today. Is anyone here feeling any fear about going out and teaching this to people? Maybe your first time? Anyone? Some fear, right? Nervousness? Well, I'd like to share a little story with you. A few months ago, I was dying. And this is not what I had planned to talk about until I heard Regina's talk yesterday about passion and purpose. This is what I was going to talk about. I redid this yesterday afternoon on our break. So what I was going to tell you is consider team teaching. Teach with another certified instructor, take some of the pressure off you, gives the students some different personalities. It's a lot of fun. Got that one done. I was also going to tell you, consider condensing this 7 or 8 week class into a 4-week class. People are busy, you know, if you don't have a captive audience, 7 to 8 weeks is a long time, right? So we did it in a 4-week class. It worked really well. We did 2 lessons per week. The first week we did the introduction in lesson 1. After that, we did the rest of them. All right, that's done. I was going to show you my business card. This is my business card. It's got the Infinite Possibilities logo right on the front of it. I don't remember who designed it. It was right after our first conference, and I hand that to people, and it's impressive. And then people go, oh wow, Infinite Possibilities, that's cool. They might not know it's a book, and I say, yeah, that's a class that I'm certified to teach based on the book Infinite Possibilities by Mike Dooley. And they're like, oh, that's cool. So it's a door opener. You know what they say almost every time when I say that? You know what the response is? Mike who? And I was going to tell you to take the pressure off yourself. Consider that perhaps we're not teachers. We're facilitators of this material. We're not here to teach anything to anyone. Just like Gretchen said yesterday, it's not about you, it's about them. So I had to remember that. It's not about me, it's about the students. When you start facilitating the material, the students are going to have their own experience. The class is going to carry itself. You actually have to keep track of time to keep it, you know, less than 5 hours, right? Because it can really go. So don't connect the dots for them. You wouldn't do that for a child who was doing a connect the dot. You wouldn't just say, oh, here, let me do that for you, right? Let them do it themselves. And if you're fearful of the hard questions coming up, when someone asks a hard question, turn it right back to the group. That's a great question, Bill. What do you guys think about that? Let them answer it. It's beautiful. All right, so that's what I was going to tell you. So a few months ago, I was dying. I was sitting at my desk job day after day, year after year, job after job. Anyone guess what my profession was? Accounting, yay! I was completely unfulfilled, leaving every day feeling totally drained, and I was dying a little more each day. A few months ago, I joined a 90-day leadership program where I more clearly defined my life's purpose. And I was reminded of that yesterday during Regina's presentation, during the exercise. Do you guys want to hear what it is?
Yeah.
All right. Good answer. So, a few years ago, I came up with my mission, which is to raise the consciousness of the human race one soul at a time. And during this 90-day leadership program, I came up with my life's purpose. My purpose is to use my passionate and intuitive spirit to empower, awaken, and inspire others into living a fabulously fulfilled life of perfect self-expression and higher consciousness. And during Regina's talk yesterday, I remembered that I'm passionate about inspiring others to perhaps find their own purpose and find a way to do it themselves, because I lived in fear for years of stepping out and doing this. So maybe by sharing my story, I can inspire others. So there I am, sitting at my desk, dying every day, completely unfulfilled and full of fear and uncertainty. I canceled the contract on the house I was going to buy. I quit my job, and I decided to go out and start living my passion. Full time. So you might be asking, how did I get past my fear to do that? And more importantly, how did I get past my fear initially to go out and start teaching the Infinite Possibilities class? Right? That's what you guys need to know. I didn't. I was as nervous then as I am right now. So what I've learned is feel the fear and do it anyway. The definition of courage is not someone who is without fear. The definition of courage is feeling the fear and walking through it, doing it anyways, not letting it stop you. That's courage, and I know you all have that capability. On Friday, Mike said action breeds clarity. I've also heard action conquers fear. So when you take those baby steps, when you get into action, make the phone calls, send the emails, those little baby steps, taking action helps you to get over your fear. It helped me. You guys want to know the #1 secret to teaching the Infinite Possibilities course?
Yeah.
This is the #1 hands down secret to successfully teaching it. Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to that in about 30 minutes or so. First, I want to show you really quickly something I do to calm myself down when I'm nervous, and you can use this when you're going into a class. It's called four-sided breathing. So we're going to do it together. So we're going to have you inhale slowly for a count of 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Bless you. One more time. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. You can keep doing it if you like. I know I am. Do you feel a shift in the room? So for me, what this does is this brings me right back into the present moment. It grounds me, it brings me right back here in the now. Because if I'm feeling fear, I'm spinning off into the future about something that might happen. What if? So I can do that in front of a class. I can do that, back when I was sitting at my desk and I was, anxious or nervous or angry or whatever. I can use that to calm my emotions and bring me right back into the present moment. The other thing I do when before I teach a class or run a meditation or before I came onto this stage while I was sitting right there, my prayer or my mantra is let me be a blessing. Let me be a benefit to these people that I'm going to serve. And that does a few things for me. It grounds me right in the here and now. It reminds me that it's not about me. It's about my class, my students, whoever is there, that I'm to be a blessing. And it's not even me doing the work. It's the universe literally working through me. Let me have the right words. Let me be a blessing. Let me be a benefit. Okay? I told one of my mentors that, and he said, that's great. And when you're in the middle of a session and you're repeating that to yourself if you get nervous, he said, instead of let me be a blessing, say, I am a blessing. I am a benefit. And just letting it flow through me, knowing it's not about me. All right. The #1 secret to teaching the Infinite Possibilities class. You ready? You got your pens ready? Take a note. All right. Set a date. Set a date. When I taught my first class, I didn't have students, I didn't have a location, I didn't have the materials printed up, didn't have anything. We set a date, the location materialized, the students signed up, we went to Kinko's and got the workbooks done, and it happened. It happened. So just do it. That will encourage, that will tell the universe that you're ready and you're serious, and everything else will unfold. So set a date. So today, instead of dying, I'm living. And it's because that I'm able to teach this material, and it's because of this program that Mike has put together for us, that I'm living today instead of dying. Thank you. Namaste.
Great job. She too has it. And doesn't it surprise you? It always does me when those who are so poised and confident admit to their nerves. It's like, you're not really nervous. Come on. But having been in the trenches and still to this day at times, you know, I know what that jittery feeling is, and I assure you, there are jitters up here, and they've been up here this whole morning. So, nice job performing in spite of the fear. Woohoo! Okay, now I'm pleased to introduce to you Tracy. Tracy has been doing work as a psychic medium in southern New Jersey for 7 years, doing individual and group readings and teaching classes in psychic development and meditation. She's been receiving notes from the universe since 2008. She knows because she's saved every one. Infinite Possibilities resonates with her because she has found that its philosophy of creating your own reality is often a big part of the messages she gets for her clients, and practicing it has produced tremendous results in her own life, not the least of which was becoming a certified trainer. Teaching is her passion, and being able to share her spiritual practice with others has been an amazing experience. Please welcome Trailblazer from the Trenches, Tracy!
Well, hi y'all. I ain't really Tracy. My name is Miss Ea. Say it with me, children. Miss Ea. That's right, you got it. Y'all are so smart. Well, I help Tracy with her Infinite Possibilities workshops. And what I do is I come in and I do a little sketch, a little talk that has to do with the lesson that she's prepared for that day. So today, I'm going to show you a little bit about what I do. But first, I need you all to help me set the scene. I know that you all are really good visualizers out there. So I want you all to visualize that you are in the audience of the Miss Universe contest. All right. And up here on this stage are the 2 finalists. And they're so excited. And they're just holding hands and they just can't believe that they're finalists and they're wishing the other one would drop dead. And in walks me. And I say, oh my Lord, I'm so sorry I'm late. I was fixing my hair. And I just am so excited. I'm like a mosquito in the news colony. I'm just so excited. I just can't believe that I'm a finalist for Miss Universe. And oh, look at there. That little one, she got runner-up. That means it's between me and that one. And oh my Lord, I won. Oh my Lord, I am Miss Universe. I gotta get my tiara. Because I am Miss Universe. I just can't believe it, but you know, I did prepare a few notes just in case. So, first of all, what I want to say is about that swimsuit competition. I'm awfully sorry. Them I was really honored to get this crown, but I always knew that I was Miss Universe. When I was a little girl, I would go out and I'd lay in the grass and I'd look up at those stars and that huge expanse of sky, and I didn't feel small. No, I didn't, darlings. I knew that I was part of that universe. Did you know that all those teeny tiny little particles that make up your body, you know that they come from the stars? Did you know that, darling? Did you know that? So that means that you are the universe. You embody the universe. You are the creator. You are the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. And so, I always knew I was Miss Universe, but I always knew you were too. And you. And you. And you're all Miss Universe. And so, by the power vested in me as Miss Universe, I declare that you are all Miss Universe, especially my girl. And you know what? If you boys ever decide to do anything about that little bald head of yours, you just call me, I'll hook you up. Miss It loves you, thank you, darling. So what I want you to know about Miss It is that she was created out of fear. I knew that in order to do these workshops in a really effective and dynamic way, that I needed to be funny, and I needed to have high energy, and I had to really deliver this material in a very dynamic way. And, you know, I didn't have too much trouble with that, but the funny part, I'm not very funny. And I'm a pretty introverted person, believe it or not. So, I knew from teaching the psychic development classes for about 5 years or so that it's always a good idea to bring in a guest speaker. It's sitting here at me and looking at me, and so, you know, I bring in somebody who's a fresh face and a fresh voice, and, you know, they have some fresh ideas, and, you know, and I can just sit there and be in the audience. So I thought, well, how can I do this with this class? Because, you know, I need somebody that's a little bit eccentric, kind of stands out, who's funny, and is very different from me. A little bit vulnerable, people can relate to her. I don't know anybody like that. And Oprah's busy. So, in some Frankensteinish kind of way, I decided to create my own guest speaker. I went running around the house trying to find the most outlandish clothes that I could find, and I found a green wig from St. Patty's Day. And then I thought, well, you know, she's got to talk different from me, too. Aren't too many people in New Jersey with a southern accent. And I always got that nice, warm, comforting feeling from people with a southern accent. You know, and it's really the only accent that I can do. Not well, but that I can attempt to do. So, Miss It was born. The way it works is I put on a slideshow or some music, and I duck into the restroom, and I pull the costume on. And I come out with my hi y'all, and I do a 10-minute sketch. For example, for the chapter on emotions, Ms. Ip gets a customer service job that she really hates, and she has an emotional reaction to it. And funnily enough, in the class about faith in the magical universe, she does the sketch that Norberto did on the first night about the flood. Oh my Lord, God is going to save me, honey. You don't have to get me, Coast Guard man. So it was funny to hear that on the first night. So she was created out of fear. And what I want you to understand about that is that fear is energy, just like any other emotion. And you have a choice of what to do with that fear. You can use that energy to stop you, or you can use it to give you the enthusiasm to push past the fear and deliver the material in a very powerful way. You can create your own character. You can create your own way of developing and delivering this material. If you didn't have that fear, you'd be really boring. You come out, thoughts become things, choose the good ones. We need fear. You need that energy. You can channel that into enthusiasm. If you feel about this material the way that I do, if this is a passion in your life, if you can't wait for other people to learn about this, if you speak from your heart, they're going to love you. They will love you. If you make mistakes, it makes you even more vulnerable, and they love you even more. So if I can stand up here in front of all you people with a green wig and tutu and a bad southern accent, the shyest, most introverted person out there can do this in a very powerful and meaningful way and change lives. And I
Congratulations. She too has it. And you know, it made me think, oh, still on. Thank you. It's already on Facebook, okay. Did you get my rave? I've been raved, I've been crowned. This is overwhelming. What's next? But you know, it made me think, the day will come when you go to any city, including, you know, Vegas. You know, you can go see the magicians, or you can go see the singers or the performers, or you can go get psyched up by someone as talented as this, and just be like, wow, the new Zig Ziglar is here, emerged from infinite possibilities. Thank you for showing us how. Andrea Powers lives in Arlington, Texas, where she is a busy mother of 3 boys, an artist, photographer, and is in her 15th year as a teacher. After becoming certified Infinite Possibilities trainer at the Orlando conference this past June, Andrea became a trailblazer, training 10 women in October. While at the Orlando conference, Andrea meditated on finding joy in teaching once again. Less than 24 hours upon returning home, the universe answered with a job offer to teach art at a low-income school, so she left her comfortable, familiar position at a school where she had been teaching 5th grade science for over a decade. Wow. And found more joy than she has ever experienced before. Andrea recently trained 122 fifth grade students at her new school and is grateful for the countless dots that have been connected in her life since Orlando. She dreams of traveling the world's beaches, photographing tree frogs in the rainforest, and living a life without having to look at calendars and clocks when she grows up. Please welcome Trailblazer Andrea Powers.
Thank you, thank you. Just to get something out of the way, this isn't a character, this really is my accent. So, maybe it's funny. But can we get some Texas in here? Can I have a howdy? Can I have a howdy, y'all? Howdy, y'all. You rock. That's awesome. Okay, I always open my sessions with this book. I love this book. And you know what's funny is I don't ever remember even ordering this book. Oh, it's Choose Them Wisely by Mike Dooley. I found this, yes? Oh. I found this book on my shelf one day. Don't remember how it got there. And this is how I use this book. Oh, okay. Let me read this. And so when I was preparing for my first session, I did that for them. And I opened it. And it was perfect. So I wrote the page number down in my notes. But then the second week, I was like, let me trust the universe. And, you know, we would gather and just kind of, you know, chit-chat before I started. And I opened the book, started reading, like maybe 3 or 4 words in, bam. That's what we've just been talking about. Bam. That's just perfect. That's what we were going to talk about in a minute. And so I did this for you today. I opened my book, and this is what I found. Nice splash. In this journey called life, I know in my heart that be it ever so humble, I'm glad for my part. It's easy to think that if you weren't, someone else would be in your place doing what you do. But no one will ever be able to do what you do. Every acquaintance you greet, every phone you answer, every pet you pamper, every smile, wave, wink, and hug in your life would never happen without you. Your every move ripples across humanity to places, people, and souls you don't consciously know of. In the pond of time and space, each one of us hits the water every moment of every day. And I can see your splash from here. Remember, thoughts become things. Yeah. Okay, so I'm an art teacher now. And so, are you going to be my clicker? Okay, so go ahead and click. So today I'm going to talk about painting your masterpiece. You've been given all of these buckets of paint, and you get to take that paint, and you get to choose your colors, and you get to blend them and create new colors, and you get to paint in the way that only you can paint. I just recently started painting, very recently. I was so non-committal that I like to write in pencil. I like to be able to erase. And I have fallen in love with painting. I'm like, where did those come from? And I posted something on Facebook. I'm like, hey, I just painted this. And when I logged back on, 36 people like it. Whoa, what? You really like it? Because I actually got back on to take it down. You know, because I'm like, oh, people can see that. And I'm like, oh, wait, maybe people like what I'm doing. And so, guess what? Maybe people will like what you're doing. And you'll think, maybe I need to get that off Facebook. No, leave it, because they're going to like it. Click. All right, woohoo! You are here. You are here. You answered the call. You said yes. Click. I've got a confession. And before you run to Mike Dooley, I already told him last night, so don't go tattletelling on me. Here's my confession. When I went to Orlando, I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. Because years ago, I did the breast cancer 3D walk, and the universe gave me a tent mate who I'd never seen before, never met before, and we're great friends now. Well, guess what? She got the notes from the universe, and she forwarded one to me one day, and I'm like, this kind of rocks. So I was like, forward me some more of those, and then I signed up. And I was hooked. Well, then fast forward a couple of years, and I just happened to catch Dallas at the bottom of the deal. And I'm like, oh, Operation Activation, let's go to that. And I get there, and I, sitting there, and I'm looking around, and I'm looking at my handout, and I'm like, Andy Dooley. I'm like, who's that? Who's Andy Dooley? And he walks up, and I'm like, where's Mike? Where's Mike? Where's the note guy? But universe said, hey, this is what you need. And that day became a very important day for me, and was a cool thing. Well, so I'm like, this is awesome. If I got this much out of one day, hey, I see this 2.5-day conference in Orlando. Let's go see what Mike has for me. And I get there, and, I had read, because I filled out my stuff and sent it in. But when I read about it, I started challenging the universe. Well, let me open my calendar and see if I've got my boys that weekend. Oh, I don't. Universe said, check. Well, let me go on American Airlines. If I can find a flight under $300, universe said, 204, check. And with all those little checks, I started hearing these quacks. And I'm like, well, what's that? Losing it. So I get there, and all these other things just kind of kept falling into place. I kept trying to put up these roadblocks, but the universe kept saying, check, check. And then I get there, And I'm listening, and I'm so excited, and then they're talking about, oh, and when you go present this, and I'm like, what? Oh, shit. What did I get myself into? Because I'm a teacher, but it comes to, I've been running from that a lot. I got a master's degree, not in education, and I was in a job interview, and he asked me, I was in like my 6th interview, because it was this company, it was growing, and we were just trying to decide if I was going to go in this division or this division, and he asked me this question: if you could have the perfect job, what would it be? And I went, oh, shit. But I just smiled, I was like, well, I really think this division. And I knew walking out, I would never see him again, and I wasn't going to work for that company. But I didn't leave driving off going, oh, yes, the light, I know what's happening now. I left driving home going, why did you say that to me? Why did you do this to me? And I became a teacher over the weekend, honestly. I taught my first year on an emergency permit. Then I got my certification, taught my next year on a probationary certificate. So then my 3rd year, I was a real teacher. And that's when I started teaching science. And we'll talk about this more in Denver. But it's really kind of cool how when I started teaching science, everything came back to energy. And now I know that was the framework I was teaching for myself to get me ready for this. Anyway, so I'm like, all right, universe, let's go. And I'm like, what are all these ducks doing? And why the hell are they lined up in a row behind me? And I was like, all right, come on, ducks, let's go. And the universe said, checkmate. Okay, so who I've trained. I started with friends, because that's comfortable. And it was a good way to get my feet wet. But it's amazing how you get just as much out of it as they do. And that energy, oh, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited because you're going to know what that feels like. I mean, this energy is amazing. And when you present this, it just comes back and it multiplies. And so that's very cool. And I'm now at a low-income school. I said yes. I left my kids. I was at the school where my kids were at. Friends, great friends, a good school. I got great Christmas gifts. And I'm now at a low-income school. And my 5th graders were my roughest kids. And I teach 1st through 6th grade. And so I had finished training with my friends, and I thought, that I just felt this need and I felt this calling. And so I looked at the schedule of who has lunch during our break. 5th graders who had been teaching. I knew 5th grade, I knew 5th graders. And there were, I don't need this. There are 5 sections of 5th graders. So they had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for 6 weeks. And it was an optional thing, and I called it Lunch Bunch. And they got to come in and eat lunch in my classroom, and then they gave up their recess for that day. And we talked about different infinite possibilities, ideas. Now, of course, I couldn't say God or universe. I used, like, the world. You know how when you're looking for it, and then the world just stand, So I got it in there, but I didn't say it. I brought it to the concrete. With thoughts become things, I'd hold up a pencil. How did this come to be? And then we finally would get back to, oh, somebody thought it up. Well, what else in the room did somebody have to think up? And then we finally got to the point where, it's that too, it's that too, it's that too. So it's everything. So they came up with the idea of thoughts become things organically. Going back to my friends, now I'm from Texas, middle of the Bible Belt, where not only do we have a church on every corner, but everybody thinks they're the only ones going to heaven. So I know that I had friends from this one and this one and this one. And so I just wanted to present it in a non-threatening way. And just like today, whatever I'm saying, take what you want, leave what you don't. So I just kept reiterating that at the beginning, because I didn't want anybody to just put up that wall. I'm like, if you need to pump the brakes, and leave it behind, leave it behind. Just don't throw up that wall, because once that wall is up, it's hard to get through. Okay, Yeah, go ahead and click. Let's move along. You will know when the time is right. You will know. I got home from Orlando. I became an art teacher. It was the summer. I had some vacations planned. Then school started. So it was just, you know, I was busy. But then one day, I just sat up in bed, grabbed my laptop, and just composed the email. The words came. I was going through my address book, and it's funny how, you know, you just have this feeling. And there was this one girl, Kate, who I didn't know very well, but I just had this feeling. And I mean, she showed up. So it's called Click. One of my favorite quotes. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. One of my favorite quotes. So you will know, because it'll feel just not right. You don't have to be a Stepford speaker. I am not a Stepford person. So when I first started visualizing, you know, let's open our books to chapter 1. That's just not me. So be yourself. It'll come through. They will come for you, not for somebody else. You will be the perfect person for them. So let that come through. Click. All right, finding the relating factors to your story. My story is that things happen, end up in an abusive marriage. Now, if you've been in that, you know. You get it, you know. But for whatever your story is, and this is especially true if you're talking to people who don't know you personally, you know, larger groups or, you know, people that are strangers, find a deeper meaning to your story. So the deeper meaning of my story is I lost my voice. I gave away my power. I felt stuck. And then those things way back there that you don't like to say out loud, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't worth very much. And it's so funny, when you write it and you say it, you just take the power right out of those. But people can relate to the, you know, oh yeah, I felt stuck. I have felt powerless. I have felt frustrated. I have felt. So if you find that deeper meaning to your story, you'll be able to relate on another level. Click. And I'm trying to get through this. But why, 10 minutes. A wise man once said, time is an illusion. Checkmate. So I'm going with that. All right, so connect with other trainers. If you have connected with somebody and haven't gotten their card or their there's my email address. A as in apple, K as in kangaroo, powers as in I have spur at att.net. Connect with people. I encourage you, if you're on Facebook, to get on the Train the Trainers page. Gretchen and I didn't really meet in Orlando, but we connected through the Facebook page. I liked her stuff, she liked my stuff, we commented. Somewhere, one of us friend requested the other one, and we are like this now. But that didn't happen at the conference. So some of the connections that you've made, you will foster when you leave here, and that's so exciting. Click. Resources, click. These are just some of the things that I use. Choose them wisely. My Dooley, my conference notes. This is my folder from Orlando. And I've got, oh look, Noberto, there you are. And I've got, oh, there's Andy Dooley, storytelling. Helps you connect to your audience. Look for stories in your life. See, I've got all of this stuff, and look, oh, Regina, there you are. Listen to your own inner voice for guidance. You are more than cheese pizza. And I use that with my girls. The Four Agreements, I love that book. His last name is R-U-I-Z. Andy's guided visualizations. I would close with my girls, not with my kids. I would close with one of those. Beg, borrow, and steal, but modify, make it your own. The cheese pizza, I use that with my friends, the women group. But with my kids, I couldn't use that. They love cheese pizza. They're like, I'll eat cheese pizza. Are you kidding me? I love cheese pizza. So I love tree frogs. So I put up a picture of an ordinary little frog on a log and talked about how that frog, its survival is based on how well it can blend in its camouflaging. And its survival is based on how well I can blend in with this log. And then I put up a tree frog, a beautiful, brilliant tree frog, and say this tree frog is an individual, and it knows it's special, and it loves to show off its colors. So I tell them, don't be a frog on a log, be a tree frog. So that's kind of my take on the cheese pizza. Thank you, Regina. And I love quotes. I use quotes. Click. We are almost there. Over-prepare, but be prepared not to say everything that you wanted to say. You can always, and don't say, oh, I was going to do it. Send it in a follow-up email. They'll say, oh, you're so smart. Look at that. Click. Ooh, it's blank. This is where you get to close your eyes. Pick up that paintbrush. Start to paint your masterpiece. You can use little bitty, slow strokes. You can pick up that big paintbrush and use some big, bold strokes. You can use methodical strokes. You can just slap that paint on your canvas. Start painting that masterpiece in your own way. Click. And I will leave you with this quote by the great Dr. Seuss. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Woohoo!
Wow, Andrea, thank you so much. A natural-born presenter. And can you imagine where you'd be today if you had a 5th grade teacher like Andrea teaching what she's teaching? Wow. Okay, now I'm thrilled to introduce to you Dana Van Tile. Dana is the program director for the Here's to You Women's Social Network in Kansas City. She has taught the course to a dozen professional women to get comfortable with the IB course and hopes to work with disadvantaged teenagers in the near future. Please give a warm round of applause welcoming Dana.
Good afternoon. I got a little voice thing going here, so I apologize for that. I was at the Orlando conference just 7 months ago. So I will where you are now, just 7 months ago. And it is where all these fine, beautiful people were at one time. It is even where Mike Dooley was at one time. And does anyone know what that state is? What that state of being that you are right now? Rainer Lordvik. And if you search for a picture to go with that on the slide, it is not a pretty thing. If you want to see the pretty thing, take a look left and take a look right at the trainer. My gift to you today is a process to get your butterflyness out of your cocoon in less than 6 months. And if that's of interest to you, could I please hear a yeah, buddy? Yeah, buddy! I'm going to share some steps that work for me, and they may not work for you. I hope it at least gives you an idea or two. At the airport tomorrow, this is your first step. Spend time with your Let's Do This worksheet. And pull that out before your travel. Don't look for it now. But pull it out before your travels and have that with you. And on that very form, write a letter to yourself from the Infinite Possibilities team. And I'll get to why that in a bit. When you get home, order 20 Infinite Possibility books and 20 workbooks and pay for them yourself. And the reason that you want to do that is because you are going to need books and workbooks as you approach and network with people on what your course is about and the decision makers that need to know more than your description of what the course is about. I struggled and struggled with a way to get a condensed answer to what this course is about. And I have been networking furiously recently in a job search effort, and I can tell you that that is a thing that you need to have. It needs to be fairly short and understandable. Pick 8 consecutive training dates that fall in the next 6 months. As Barbara said, pick a date. Decide what you need to accomplish in your first Infinite Possibilities course and put your purpose in writing. So you've got your books and you've got your purpose, and boom, you are committed. What I wanted to accomplish with my course is I wanted to work out the timing. And you hear a lot of people, we did it in a day, we did it over a period of a weekend. I wanted to do it for the longest amount of time so that I would have that accomplished and I could always go smaller. Find out what I wanted to get comfortable with the material. I wanted to find out what additional handouts, videos would be helpful. I wanted to figure out how to make the course as meaningful to participants as I could. And I wanted to get my answer from my participants on what is the course about. And I knew that they had that answer for me.
Do you have these on our website?
I will get them on the trainer Facebook.
I'm writing it.
No, and don't, please don't. Please don't. I will get it for you in even in a pretty form, I hope. Your next step is to send out an email to all your friends, acquaintances, neighbors, work buddies, inviting them to your home for happy hour on the first training day that you have chosen. And why this is a good strategy is because you don't have to go woo-woo, you don't have to explain a lot, and a lot of people like happy hour, and I give a good happy hour. Say in your email that you need help. I need help in getting my feet wet with a new course. I'm going to be giving the first installment an hour after happy hour begins for those who are interested. So you're going to get the people in the building, and I must have sent this email out to roughly 40 people. And I sent it to women and that I absolutely could not imagine teaching this course to. My Aunt Darlene. The horror that might have gone forth had she shown up. So here you have them, and you're having happy hour, and everybody's loose, and everybody's catching up, and everybody's happy, and about an hour into it, then I'm going to start the course. And so now you're really committed. You've got an email out there, you've got people that are coming in and so forth. Include in your email the course dates and times. For me, it was important that my first one was free because it freed me up from having to produce a seriously tangible value as I felt my way through my process. I told them that if they wish, however, to purchase the book, it's available at Amazon.com, or you can purchase one from me for $10. The workbooks were provided. So by charging for the $10, you have covered your cost per person of the book and the workbook. Okay? In my email, I cut and paste a picture of Mike Dooley with the Infinite Possibilities book from Amazon webpage, including the link to purchase the book if that's how they wanted to do it. And also, below that on Amazon, it has a very lovely description of what the book is about and therefore what the course is about. Also in the email, I asked for an RSVP for those that wish to be my first class participants. Ducks were in a row. You're just getting it. I did lose one woman and I didn't lose her. And she stopped coming to the course, and I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with it wasn't necessarily for her, wasn't the right time for her, and loving her as I do, I knew that when the student was ready, then her teacher would appear. So this is my first class. Aren't they beautiful? Take a picture of your first class, post it on the Train the Trainer on the Facebook page. And now you're like so official. Tips for your first session. Tell your class your story of how you came to be there. Ask them what they hope to get out of the class, going around the room one by one, and get them used to talking and participating right away, right out of the chute. Play the 7 to 8 minutes video of Mike's award-winning Toastmaster speech found on YouTube. And here is my secret weapon, is because now Mike's in the house. Ask them to read chapter 1 and do the exercises in the workbook for the next week's session. And what I liked about that is then they thought about the material and their answers all week long. And they were able to take that thought process back to class and be able to share. Because, and one of the most important things that I will share with you today is that the beauty for the course for me with my group was in the group discussion. And if you got some help with some videos and some handouts, you really don't have to lead. You really don't have to get up and talk and teach them the material, because really that's their job. Your job, or and please, I'm just speaking to this kind of environment and this group, this size of a group. Your job is to ask good questions, and your job is to be an excellent facilitator. And your job is to know if someone's talking all the time, how to cut them off and say next, okay? And if you haven't spent a lot of time, do what you can to read or find or share how to get better at that. Because the sweet spot for this course and this kind of environment was getting them to talk. Be resourceful. There are 4 secret weapons. There are 4 additional videos available of Mike on YouTube. Search under Mike Dooley Manifesting Change. It was the tour you did at the Unity Church of the Hills?
Yes.
Okay. There's 4 of them, and they run like 13 to 18 minutes. It's chopped into 4 different sequences. I was able to look at these and work it into the right class at the right time with the right segue, and it came out beautifully. And they didn't even know that it wasn't the same book.
Yeah.
It worked so beautifully, and the message was so the same and so on point that they didn't even know, okay? The other thing to know about bringing Mike in the house is that his voice and his presence, the material is not the same about it. It's just not the same. And if you think that I am sharing this because I would like to manifest vignettes to go with the training available, then you would be right. So my process was in the class that I would talk for a little bit, we would watch a video, and then we would talk as a group. Because in a lot of ways, this is only theory to these people until they see it applied to themselves or to others. For 8 sessions that I had 5 videos of Mike. I had 2 unbelievable TED Talks that I included at just the right time, in just the right amount of material I was presenting. And I had 3 supplemental handouts. And I'll get those on the a super secret fun plan for the last night. The Infinite Possibilities Fun. I told him next week, come as a person you would like to be in 5 years. And when we talk together, my question is going to be, what have you been up to since I saw you last? And I had a list of about 8 or 10 questions to get them prepared for that. And the first one was, a dream that came true for me since I last saw you 5 years ago is. And then I had one last piece of homework, and that was an Infinite Possibilities participant feedback. And I put a couple of questions on it here, but I had about 10. And these, again, go back to my purpose and what I wanted to learn and what I need to know going forward in the class. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you're going to take away? And this one was huge for me. In 2 or 3 sentences, how would you describe this course to a friend? They emailed those back to me. From their feedback, I learned many things for my own personal growth. Aren't they clever to point that out? And I'm now able to answer the question, what is your class about? If you're ready for that answer. Can I hear a yeah, buddy? It is a course that helps people get out of their habitual thinking just long enough to see what is possible for them. In closing, I have 2 things to share. The first is that my very favorite personal affirmation that I like to say to myself when things don't seem to be going well is things are really coming together for me beautifully. And the second thing I'd like to share is, remember that sheet that I filled out on your Let's Do This? And I filled that out at the airport, and when I was here the last time, my flight was changed 4 times due to weather and engine problems, and there I was spending some happy time with this form at the airport. And I would like to share with you what I wrote, that I didn't even remember that I wrote it. And I pulled this out like Tuesday when I was packing, and I'd like to read the letter that I wrote to me from the Dooley team. Dear Dana, we would like to invite you to the next Train the Trainer conference. We cannot believe the amount of people you have taken through the Infinite Possibilities program. You shattered any former records or successes. Clearly, you were made for this work. Did I stop there? Not so much. The letter went on to say, we would like for you to attend the conference as our treat and speak to the new trainers about your many successes. We know that you will add richness and humor to our adventure. Happy trailblazing!
That's what I'm talking about. This has just been amazing. Every single one of you have that id quality. Every single one of you have that id quality. You are ready. This is what you came here to find out, that you're already ready. And we've got a little bit of time left. So what I'd like to do is give you guys the opportunity to ask your mentors here a question or 2, if you have one. If you could pass this microphone to whoever gets the question.
I'll have really loudly, may I?
Yeah.
Has anybody done this without a website promoting yourself?
I most certainly did.
If you did not have a website, raise your hand when you began doing this. So how did you keep it going? Without a website, how did you keep it going?
Me personally, I have some targeted audience and some targeted organizations that I would like to do this for, and I am sending out the letter in the book and the workbook, and hopefully I have had some contact or some networking lead that I met Jane and she said you do this and I would like to do this for you.
I do almost everything on Facebook. I don't remember the last time, other than my center for this, that I actually clicked on a website. I just don't go to websites, and everything's through Facebook, and I click on links that takes me to them, right? And so I know that a lot of my community is in the same boat. So when I post on Facebook, and a lot of people have said to me that people always come up to you and say, oh, you're so positive, right? And people want to know how to generate that. So if you post on Facebook and say, I'm offering a program that may be great for you or someone you know, that's where the other people come from. It's the or someone you know, and they say, you really should go talk to my friend about this. And so I found Facebook's hugely valuable for me. It costs nothing and it's easy.
Great.
Facebook and meetup.com, good place to find
Great.
people.
Okay, next question. Yes, right here.
I see in the book it talks about creating joint venture partnerships like a yoga studio, wellness center, gym, for a percentage of the sales. Has anybody done that, or do you have done that?
Has anybody teamed up with a yoga center, etc., to get workspace as well as perhaps have them promote what you're doing? Has anybody done that?
That's one of the programs that I did, and it's actually a standing agreement we have. They actually have my poster and cards up in the yoga studio for free. It costs me nothing, and when I put the program on for them, it's the same thing. I give them 25% of whatever people pay to come to it.
Yeah, we can make them look good. Like, look, we've got this talent here, we've got this program here. Come to the yoga studio and become more than you were before. Question?
When you do the $300 and then you break it down, when do you tell them how that $300 is broken down?
Ahead of time. Yeah, so they know coming in.
Repeat the question, okay?
Oh, sure. The question was, when you're doing that $300 formula, keep in mind it could be 150, it could be 600, it could be whatever, right? I use 300 because it's easy to break down. But I tell them, it's a $300 program. You give me $100 at the start, $100 halfway through if you choose to continue, and at the end you give $100 to the charity of your choice, so they know ahead of time going into it.
Put that on your Facebook page?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Just put it on your Facebook page, what the plan is. Question? Did you guys give every participant a workbook? Great, yes. Over here, yes.
8 weeks and all that, and I'm thinking about doing a day-long program. Can someone talk a little bit about that?
Have you given a day-long program as opposed to an 8-week program? I will tell you that, you know, in my World Tour events, I do pretty much an all-day event from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I haven't done it, that was not part of getting certified or something, but it is possible. Have any of you done that in one day? It takes the entire day.
Can I get trailblazer if I do that?
You can be a trailblazer that way, yes. If you get them for 6 hours, 6 people.
It's definitely challenging, and when I did that, the feedback I got was this would have been so much better if it was broken out over 2 days. So I mean, at work we got it in, but they said, boy, this would have been better if you could have broken it down over 2 days.
When I presented to my friends, we did it over 6 weeks, and the good takeaway was they got to go home and marinate with it and meditate on it, and they came back ready for those new ideas. And so maybe even like a 3-week program, 2 hours over, maybe 3 weeks, so that you can go home and marinate. It's a lot for one day. With a large group, maybe that's your only option. But you might find that you get more out of it when they get
I suggest you mix and match. Try it this way, try it that way. And I would also like to add that you don't have to do this and then keep on doing it and keep on doing it. You know, there is a timeout allowed. You can stop for good if you want. It's just, let's break the ice, do it one time. We're trailblazers. And then whether you take it to Wall Street or you let it simmer for the next 5 years, that's fine. You don't have to. You're in control. Artistic license. Yes?
Doing this with my friends is going to be easy, but I want to teach this to an alternative training school with a really tough audience. How do you deal with people that this is so foreign to, and maybe their superpower is being loud and obnoxious?
She said that dealing with her friends, where she first plans to take this, ought to be easy. How do you deal with perhaps the audience that has uncooperative participants that are awkward? And I just learned a lot from Dana and all these folks out here. You know, throw the hard questions back at them. That's a beautiful one. And just kind of roll with it, you know. Deflect some of the other things we were talking about here. When I said I had some contentious people, I was in a prison, and most of them wouldn't have been there had they not been forced to listen to me. If you do what some of our panel has suggested, and you kind of perhaps create an environment where they get to choose to come, they're much less likely to be difficult. So it's really not an issue, and it won't be an issue. And you can, and when there's a bad apple in the bunch, everybody knows that there's a bad apple in the bunch, and they're not looking to you to save the day. Another quick question or two, and then we'll stop. Quick questions, quick answers. Yes?
The workbook seems to be written in a really non-denominational, if you will, way, but of course we're referring to the book for people to go there as a resource and read chapter 1, chapter 2. And there, even the opening story and possibilities implies that God. Or
Yeah.
how do you, I won't be working with audiences that are open to that. How do you distance that concept in the book, even though you want them to read the book, kind of keep it from them saying, oh, you're trying to make me think a certain way?
Yeah, go for it.
She wants to know, here goes voice.
How do you distance God from the material when God is in the book?
I told them to put an O in it. I said, give it another O, and you go from God to good.
There's also the opposite, right? Where it is written in a way that's supposed to be open to the universe and to everyone and God in a very general way. You may also be speaking to people to whom that's offensive, to whom they want God to be a certain thing, right? And you can't take that away from them. Like for us to say, it isn't, it is to them. So sometimes you have to adapt the material the other way too and say, when this says universe, you have to read it as your paternal judging God, right? If that's the way they see it. And I know there's stuff in there that distances it from that as well, but I mean, you can't use this material to convince somebody that there's no God. And if you do, it's not going to benefit them. So I'm just saying that sometimes you have to actually backload it the other way too and be sensitive to where they're coming from.
What I did was, in the introduction, in my instructor's manual, I make notes of things I want to cover, and I purposefully bring up, we're not talking about religion here. I'm not here to promote or deny any religion or religious beliefs. So anytime you see the word God, universe, source, energy, it's all interchangeable. Just put whatever word in there that you like. If I say God or universe, just put in the word that you like, because it's not about religious beliefs.
Okay, great. Let's see. One more? Yeah.
I wondered about group size. Like, do you see a particular number as an ideal group size? Or...
Is there an ideal group size? If they're paying a lot. Anybody want to speak?
For an intensive discussion base, I felt that 8 would be too few and 18 would be too many.
Anybody else?
6 to 12 worked for me. More than 12, it became harder to manage, and less than 6, it wasn't the dynamic, so similar number.
But given the kind of work we're doing and the good intentions behind it, I think they will give you some leeway. And so you mix and match and you pick and choose and you find your own comfort zone. I know that in the speaker circles, they always say it's not the size of the audience that matters, it's the message.
And when you set your date and you prepare for your class, even if just 2 people show up, you do it. You do it like there's 20 people there and you give them your all because you're there for them and it's going to be a powerful experience for them, and just trust that.
Yeah, you could have 20 people in a theoretical audience and no one gets what you're saying. If you have 1 in your audience and they get it, you've changed a life that will change other lives, that will change other lives. Big splash. In the very back.
So what happens if you set your schedule for 6 weeks or 8 weeks and 1 or 2 people can't make it?
If 1 or 2, you guys ever have that happen? Tracy.
You have to be flexible all the time. The best laid plans get changed. I had everything spelled out exactly the way I was going to do it, and it all changed because people got sick. There was bad weather. We had to cancel a class because of a tornado. It's never the way that you expect it to be, but you have to expect the unexpected and be open and to change. And sometimes discussions will get out of hand and people will want to talk, and sometimes you have to let them talk, and sometimes you have to know when to rein it in and pull it back. So you just have to be flexible, and if there's 2 people, you give it to 2 people. That's all.
I think we should take a tiny little break, but before we do that, let's share our extreme appreciation for these amazing trailblazers. Thank you.